This is CBC Here and Now.
To sit at a table with the Prime Minister and eat wild foods.
Never before has a sitting Prime Minister visited the north coast of Labrador. Why Justin Trudeau was there and how he plans to address needs of the north.
It's good to be busy here in the area. Local businesses is picked up.
Everybody is working with the film crews.
Bright lights, fake snow. Bonavista Vista Peninsula, once again the backdrop to a major production.
After a few start and stops due to Snowmageddon and then the pandemic, a gym dedicated to the crowd over 50 had its grand opening in St. John's today.
This hurts, that hurts, whatever, and he will say, okay, here's what we're going to do about that.
When we work together, the time goes very quickly.
Jeremy Eaton will have that story coming up.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Heather Gillis, filling in for Carolyn Stokes. There's another blow up today in the ongoing feud in the crab industry. Angry harvesters took their protests to the doorsteps of fish company owners, and it resulted in a tense exchange, one that ended in handshakes, but still no resolution to what some are calling a powder keg of frustration. Here and Now's Terry Roberts has been following the story for weeks now and was there for today's face-off.
Let's do the math on your crab. If some people don't want to go, why are you so hell-bent on stopping people who want to go?
Why are we here today, and how did we get here?
The front entrance to Ocean Choice International, one of the province's largest fish companies, became an impromptu debating stage today.
You made the big money and joined the COVID here.
You guys did too.
They could have locked the doors and called the police when dozens of angry harvesters showed up. But OCI's leadership, brothers Blaine and Martin Sullivan, stepped with both feet into the dispute.
The reason crab went up is because during the pandemic, people had extra money in their pockets at home.
With Blaine Sullivan trying to explain why the market has collapsed.
Last year, the pain was absorbed on the processing sector because of the way the price fell and the timing of it. This year, we're at the bottom.
That 220 will bankrupt people, and we can't have that.
And the leader of the Fisheries Union pleading with the Sullivan boys to take a more active role.
You know, the province is like a tinder keg right now, and we need we need some help.
They shouted and pointed and debated for more than an hour.
You're not answering the question. You're pretty wise on that.
No breakthroughs, but like two heavyweights at the end of a slugfest.
Thank you for coming out today, by the way.
They all shook hands when it ended, with Blaine Sullivan saying he's open-minded.
I believe I've heard that they want to share in the market as it goes up. So they're all principles we're very interested in talking about, you know.
It was the latest flare-up in a dispute that is threatening thousands of jobs. The annual snow crab harvest brings in hundreds of millions in revenue to the province and has been an economic savior for coastal communities. But after several impressive years, the international market has sunk like a crab pot. Harvesters are refusing to untie their boats for the arbitrated price of $2.20 per pound. Several attempts to reach a deal have flamed out. Now there's serious tension because larger enterprises with the large quotas are pushing to begin the harvest, and some boats have been blocked from leaving port, and deliveries of bait and ice have been turned away. But union leaders say most harvesters are united and accuse the companies of trying to fracture the FFAW.
We got a few dozen company-controlled boats that are cutting our throat every time we're trying to get a resolution to this problem. They have shown nothing to say that they're concerned about anybody but themselves.
The Fisheries Union and the association that represents seafood producers have been engaged in a very public war of words, both accusing the other of lying and of bad faith bargaining. Big disagreements over everything from pricing formulas to trip limits.
These tactics will only produce mayhem and civil disorder in this province.
Meanwhile, as each day passes, concern is mounting over whether the massive quota can even be landed. Crabs shed their old shells in the summer, and the quality drops.
I think missing the whole year is going to put this province at a very serious disadvantage.
Signs of trouble at every turn, and still no end in sight to a level of disruption that hasn't been seen in decades.
This is it for today. Thanks for coming out.
Terry Roberts, CBC News, Paradise.
In other news, the Prime Minister was in our province today. Justin Trudeau was in Nain, the northernmost community in Labrador. He was there to meet with other Inuit leaders from across the north. He was asked about local issues like the lack of housing. The federal housing advocate calls overcrowding in the community in housing there a human rights failure.
We've worked very, very closely with communities like here in Nain, but leadership right across Inuit Nunangat to work with them to meet the need in responsible, realistic ways. We know the needs are significant, but we also know there are opportunities to create jobs, to create sustainable approaches to housing that are going to make a huge difference.
The federal government recently unveiled new gun legislation, which has some Indigenous hunters worried that their firearms could be targeted. The Prime Minister says the rights of Indigenous hunters will be respected.
As a government, we will always respect Section 35 rights, and that includes the right of Inuit people to hunt and fish and to live off the land. Nothing in our gun legislation will limit or abrogate those rights. To make sure of that, we're taking extra time to engage directly with Indigenous communities.
So what does this all mean for people in the community? We'll talk to Nunatsiavut President Johannes Lamp a little later in the show. Moving on now, the bright lights of Hollywood are shining on the Bonavista Peninsula once again. Movie star Ben Stiller has been spotted in the area along with a film crew. Stiller is the executive producer and director of a sci-fi television thriller called Severance. As Here Now's Troy Turner reports, it's giving the area an early economic boost.
The main street in Port Union is filled with snow, but it's not falling from the sky. Vintage vehicles line the streets. For anyone walking by, it looks like there's been a horrible fire. But that's the magic of television for you. This is a film set. The burnt-out vehicles? Props.
The influx of people in that coming into the area, the businesses, the rentals, it's just a wonderful thing to have happen to our community and that, for Trinity Bay North.
This week's work includes hours and hours in Port Union. It's one of several communities here being used for filming. Old vehicles, circa 1980s, are also cropping up in Bonavista. Local businesses and accommodations have been busy all week, well ahead of what's normally a busy tourism season.
The grocery stores, hiring of people throughout the community and that, paying a decent wage, long hours, but it's a financial benefit to a lot of people in low income areas for sure.
It's good because it's not tourism season yet. It don't start till June really, so it's good to be busy here in the area. Local businesses is picked up. A lot of people in the area giving jobs to, in-town people. It's great.
Christy Sweet says the entire area is benefiting.
Bonavista is a big crowd over there, and Catalina, even up to our local fish plant that was shut down years ago. It's just so nice to see activity up there.
Security is tight in English Harbour, though you won't see any signage indicating a film set, and mum's the word when it comes to details of the show. But David Bartlett says the production company has been relying on local people and expertise. The integration of rural Newfoundland, he says, has been great.
Everybody is working with the film crews and that, if there's setups that they need, areas that they need road closures or anything else, people are advised in that before they happen. And it makes sense to be able to leave the crews to do their own thing, plus interact with them.
Nobody from the set was interested in doing an interview with CBC, but people here are optimistic. This is not a one-off, and this film production will hopefully, they say, be back again in the future. Troy Turner, CBC News, English Harbour.
Well, it was a nice bluebird sky out there for a good chunk of the island up across Labrador, as well as we sit under a ridge of high pressure. But we do have an area of low pressure moving through and a cold front pushing its way across Labrador, Lab West anyway, with some showers moving in. You may even hear a few rumbles of thunder over the next couple of hours. But if we take a zoom out and add those temperature contours, you can see that big swath of mild air heading north. That's where the hot spot was. Happy Valley Goose Bay reached 22 degrees, only showing 21 there, but you reached 22 degrees earlier today, 17 in Lab City, 20 in Churchill Falls, and lots of teen temperatures as well across the island. Now, unfortunately, the Avalon stayed pretty chilly, 8 degrees. That's because we're in onshore flow. But as we head through the day tomorrow, these temperatures in the teens likely going to stick around across the Avalon, across the island anyway. And then as we head towards the end of the weekend, some colder pools of air moving in across Labrador. That will be the story as we head into next week as well, with some mild air sticking around across the island. I'll get into all the details coming up.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, it's now easier for tourists and travelers to take a taste of local seafood home. Labrador Gem Seafoods has opened up a frozen seafood storefront at the St. John's International Airport. We swung by for the official opening today to hear from the company on why this is such a significant step.
It is an extremely exciting day here at the Airport Authority. We were delighted that Mr. Dumouriez decided that he wanted to expand his business to St. John's International. And for us, we take a great deal of pride in offering a wide range of concessions to the traveling public, and this certainly brings a whole new level of diverse offerings. Things are rebounding from the pandemic. As everybody knows, it was a very tough time for airports and the aviation sector more generally, and what we're seeing now is really a rebuilding phase.
Last November, I spent a day at the store on Elizabeth Avenue, and a gentleman came in and said he would like to buy some scallops to take back to Toronto. And then he started to wonder, well, how can I take them back? He says, too bad you haven't got a place at the airport. But equally as satisfying for Labrador Gem, I am very happy for the community of Ramia. By pivoting now and getting into the retail product that we have developed, it's adding a job or an extra hour every time the product is sold. Actually, it's a little astonishing for this little guy from Labrador. Yeah, we're delighted to see that, and of course I tell them to sell, you know, and it is refreshing to see it happen, and I certainly hope they'll have the pleasant experience that customers we've had to date have.
As you can see, I mean, it's a product second to none. And as in the main, you got a great place there, so if you come in through security, first thing you're going to see is Newfoundland seafood, Newfoundland Labrador seafood, and most everybody wants to bring some back to their family. So from what I could tell the last couple of days, the business has been good, so it can only grow from here.
In other news, there was a grand opening today in St. John's for a gym aimed at folks over 50. Age Right Health and Fitness first opened in 2020 but faced multiple shutdowns, first with Snowmageddon and then COVID. And now in a new location at the former McPherson School, the gym is targeting a more mature demographic. Here and Now's Jeremy Eaton swung by.
Go! All right. So our business is a fitness company that caters to the 50-plus demographic. And we do that with customized assessments for people. With assessments, we can design a program for them that's specific to them. Another big part of what we do is getting people to socialize within an environment that will make them stronger. So the strength training is just a small component of what we do.
I'm glad I found it because strength training is really not my interest. I was so happy to work with him, and you know, when we work together, the time goes very quickly. We talk about all kinds of things completely unrelated to exercise, and as a result, I can see a big difference in myself, but I don't really feel like I'm in a gym working, slugging away at it. I just feel like I'm here with a friend having a good time.
This demographic, seniors, they already have many barriers to starting a healthy lifestyle and getting into a fitness program. So I figured for that reason alone that those challenges are there. I thought it was worth it to push through and to offer what we offer, because healthy people lead to healthy communities and families. So at the end of the day, I mean, if we can just help a few people, great, but our objective is to help a lot of people in the community, and we're getting there, we're growing.
I am someone who's always exercised. The pandemic, of course, did none of us any favors. It shut everything down. My daughter and I work together every day of our lives, and so we really want to have lots of exercise in our lives, and trying to fit it in is a big challenge. But this is a wonderful place to be, because not only is it a gym, but also Shane is the kind of person you can say, this hurts, that hurts, whatever, and he will say, okay, here's what we're going to do about that.
We offer yoga, Pilates, functional fitness, pelvic floor strengthening classes, specialty service as well, like assisted stretch therapy. So that's essentially where a trainer will stretch the individual based on muscles that need to be stretched, tight muscles and that kind of thing. And so I'm proud to say we offer an array of services for different needs.
Well, Saturday means another chance for the Newfoundland Growlers to advance. This after the team dropped last night's round 2 game against the Reading Royals. The Growlers were defeated 6-3 at the Mary Brown Centre, and it's not over yet. Game 5 is tomorrow night in St. John's. A win will move the Growlers one step closer to the Kelly Cup. High school graduations are a major milestone, especially in a tiny outport community. This year's graduating class in Grey River is tiny too, just 3 students, but it's the only graduates the town has had in years. The community on the southwest coast is only accessible by boat or helicopter. So what is it like being part of such a small graduating class? The trio and their families shared their experience with Newfoundland Morning.
It feels good, because you grow up with people and always got your back and you're never alone. So I feel quite fortunate to have them.
Oh, it helped me a lot. Whenever you needed something or someone, who was always nowhere away.
Everybody is celebrating with us, and they've helped us plan and fundraise and all that. So it's pretty cool when the full community helps you like that.
It's kind of surreal. They have been wonderful students all their life, very hardworking kids, and it just we have on the graduation wall their graduation picture together. 3 kids have been so close over the years, so it's kind of surreal and it's kind of sad to see them leave the school, but I guess they gotta start their next journey now. Braden, Carly, and Michael has been such a prominent strong set of students that went through the school, and they've been such leaders for the other kids to look up to, and we're very, very proud of them.
Well, it was a beautiful day to be steaming into St. John's, a lucky break for the crew of the HMCS Charlottetown. The Royal Canadian Navy ship sailed through the Narrows around 11 o'clock this morning. You can see the crew were among many folks out enjoying that sun in downtown St. John's today.
Yes, finally some sunshine, long periods of sunshine, but as we head through the weekend, you can see there is some rain in the forecast. We'll break all of that down for you coming up.
This weather update is brought to you by the Healthcare Foundation Home Lottery. The absolute final deadline is midnight Friday, June 2nd. Order tickets now at hcfhomelottery.ca.
Welcome back. We had another beautiful day today. So much blue sky. How nice was that?
I know, it's nice. Everybody's anxious, I know, to get, flowers and backyards cleaned up and, all the fun things that come along with sunshine and nicer temperatures.
Will people get a chance to do that this weekend?
I mean, for a little while, for sure, but we do have some rain in the forecast through the weekend. Unfortunately, it looks a bit unsettled. There is some sun, though, so don't worry about that. But let's take a look at where we are right now. We've got a ridge of high pressure. That is why the sun is shining so brightly. And as you can see on the satellite radar, we're getting rid of a lot of that snow, especially towards the coast. West coast anyway, higher elevation still very much in that snow, but it is disappearing, which is typical for this time of year. And as we head through the weekend, this trough or cold front is going to move through and it's going to spark some showers and maybe even some flurries up across parts of Labrador. So basically what we've got on the go right now is some beautiful temperatures up across the Big Land. 21 degrees in Happy Valley, Goose Bay, Churchill Falls sitting around 20, Lab City at 17. Now there were some areas in and around Happy Valley, Goose Bay that saw your temperatures around 22 degrees. 18 in Deer Lake, same thing for Badger, and even 16 degrees in Twillingate. Now the reason why temperatures around 8 degrees for Cape Race and St. John's is because we are in that onshore flow, keeping those temperatures a tad cooler for today. Here's where we saw the warmest temperatures. So like I said, in town, 22 degrees in Happy Valley, Goose Bay. And I mean, lots of areas through central, almost into the 18 or even 19 degree range. And then many areas in the teens today. 16.4 was the official temperature in Twillingate this afternoon. So that's pretty much it as far as these mild temperatures are concerned. Now they're going to stick around for a couple more days, but I don't think we'll see any 20s anymore. But still a beautiful evening right now. 21 still in Happy Valley, Goose Bay, down to 12 in Lab City, and that's because that front's starting to move through. So you're seeing those showers, which is dropping that temperature, and down to 6 degrees in St. John's at the moment. But lots of other areas still seeing temperatures in the teens at this hour. Here's that cloud cover I was talking about. We may still hear a few rumbles of thunder, but that chance is getting less and less over the next couple of hours, that's for sure. But we will see this cloud cover move through. And Future Tracker doing a very good job in showing that. So once those showers head towards northern portions of Labrador, particularly around Nain, you may even see a few flurries as you head through the overnight. Don't be surprised to see that. And then eventually as we get into the early morning hours, those showers and clouds will start to move towards central Labrador as well. Otherwise, a fairly quiet night tonight across the island. We do have southeasterly winds, so those of you that are prone to southeasterly winds on the west coast will see those gusts a little higher, closer to about 80 kilometers per hour overnight tonight. But generally, we're looking at clear skies, 0 degrees the further east you go, and then as you head towards the west coast, those temperatures about 4 or 6 degrees overnight, so staying quite mild. Dipping to -1 in Lab C, so significant drop in temperatures, hovering around 6 for Happy Valley, Goose Bay through the overnight tonight. Now, as we head into tomorrow, these showers are going to continue to work their way across Labrador, and eventually we will see those clouds on the increase for the island as well. By the time we get to about 12:30, lunchtime, we should see some of those showers starting on the west coast. Clouds on the increase through the afternoon and evening hours, and those showers are going to move right along with it. Now, some of these could be heavy at times, but not till about 8, 9, 10 o'clock tonight for the eastern areas of the island will we see those showers. Tomorrow will we see those showers. So how much are we talking? Probably 10 to 20 along the south coast. Other than that, we're talking between 5 to 10 millimeters of rain. So nothing too significant, but still that chance for sure. Temperatures should still be in the teens tomorrow, 15 for St. John's, but again, that will be further away from the shore. Towards the shore, we're still in those southeasterly winds, so temperatures still probably around 8 or 9 degrees. Along the south coast, no different. And then for Labrador, big change in those temperatures for Lab City and Happy Valley, Goose Bay, thanks to that cold front moving through. Temperatures will actually stay fairly cold as we head through the weekend, even the risk of some flurries to start in Nain. But yes, temperatures are cooling down. We'll talk about the long-range forecast when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. And as we've not so subtly been reminding you, Mother's Day is on Sunday, so we swung by Lark Hall Academy in St. John's to ask students a few questions about the moms in their lives. And it turns out kids really do say the darndest things, the sweetest things too.
Making us happy. She's good at making food. She's good at being a mom. Snuggling. Loving me. Her job.
What's her job?
Banker. When my sister doesn't listen.
What about when you don't listen?
When I don't clean up my messes. Or when I don't follow instructions. Fighting. When she sees the bills for my hockey. A Butterfinger bar. Grapes, I think. Pasta. Milkfish.
What's that?
A tip of fish. Chips and dip. It's okay. You're the best daughter I could ever ask for. You're sweet. I love you. That she's always nice. She always cares for us. She gives me tight hugs. That she always plays Minecraft with me. I love when she says yes. That she lets us get a treat sometimes. She understands. She's helpful and has a big heart. I love you. I love you and thank you for being the best mom. You're the best mom ever. I would tell her thank you for what she's done for me. Well, in the 11 years of my life. You're the best mom in the world. Happy Mother's Day.
Our young nurses want a healthier work-life balance.
In honor of Nursing Week, I sit down with the Dean of the School of Nursing at Memorial University. We talk about the program and the challenges new nurses face. That is after the break. It's National Nursing Week in Canada, and that coincides with Florence Nightingale's birthday, which happens to be today, May 12th. We've done many stories about the need for nurses in this province, some of their issues. The Nurses Union says, for example, they're quitting in droves. Now, the Dean of Memorial University's School of Nursing is here joining us. April Pike, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us why it's so important to celebrate Nurses Week.
Well, it's really important to celebrate the good work that nurses are doing. And nurses are definitely the heart, we heard before, of the healthcare system. And there's been many challenges that we've experienced over the last few years. And they're a resilient bunch. And they seem to be moving forward despite the challenges and addressing them. And it's something to be proud of.
So the spotlight has been on nurses and the whole healthcare system really since the pandemic. And we saw nurses out swabbing. We saw them donning and doffing PPE and all of the things that they've been dealing with since the pandemic. And we've also been hearing a lot from the Nurses Union about the shortage, 600 odd vacant positions, people have been short-staffed, burnout, all sorts of issues. What has that publicity on all of those issues done for applications to your nursing school?
Well, in Newfoundland, we're very fortunate. And I'm happy to say that we have filled all our seats for September. So people still want to be nurses. And we've done some really key initiatives to help with recruitment and retention. We've collaborated with the provincial government. There are bursaries for these young people entering the nursing profession, particularly in year 3 and year 4 of the program. There are rural incentives. There are awards for clinical practice. And there, of course, there are retention bonuses for when they graduate.
What kind of opportunities are available for people who graduate from nursing? We were talking earlier, and it's not just necessarily working on the floor in the hospital. What's out there for people?
Well, we're very fortunate, and nursing has always been a very fortunate profession because if you become a nurse, you're employable. And you're employable across a diverse number of fields. Most people enter the nursing profession, they have bedside nursing, which is the foundation of nursing practice. However, you can do a master's in nursing, you can do a nurse practitioner, and you can advance into nursing education. You can be nursing research and nursing practice. And we do have some big researchers within the province that are actually working on genetics, primary care, and actually contributing to looking at some of the issues surrounding nursing and the profession.
We've also heard about recently nurses quitting full-time permanent positions to go casual for better work-life balance, better control of their lives. What kind of message does that send to nurses who are about to graduate about the state that the profession is in currently?
I'm not quite sure if it speaks to the state of the profession, but it speaks to that our young nurses want a healthier work-life balance, which is always important because if you're not healthy yourself from a mental health or physical health perspective, then you're not going to do well when you're in the profession. So I think it's good for our young nurses to think about having a happy workplace in balance.
And when new nurses come out and they go to work in, say, a hospital or on the floor, are they prepared for the realities of the job? Because I'm sure it can be quite tough sometimes.
We have our nursing students are actually on the floor co-signed to a registered nurse where they actually get to live and breathe what it's like to be in the healthcare system under the direction of a nurse and of a seasoned faculty. And we have debriefing meetings with them. And that starts right from year 1. And a test to our program is that we have received 7-year accreditation for the last 28 years. I mean, that says something about the strength of our program and how we are responsible to the needs of our students.
And thinking about your graduates now who are getting ready to graduate this spring and convocate, how many of them are going to stay here and work and live in this province?
Well, we hope we'll retain as many as possible. So I would like to say 100% of them. Yeah, I would really. But statistically, if you look back at some statistics from 2018, usually about 77 to 80%, but we have these satellite sites, and I just want to talk a bit about those. They're out in Happy Valley Goose Bay, Grand Falls, Windsor, and Gander. So these are out in the rural areas, and students are actually getting the opportunity to become nurses where they live. So it's a great way to recruit and keep people in the rural communities. My career has been diverse. I've been a nurse for 33 years, and I think the favorite part about nursing for me, it's diversity. I worked on a cruise ship. I worked in the northern part with Indigenous populations. I worked in community health, emergency room, obstetrics. I'm a researcher. I'm an educator. I'm an administrator. and I think I'm a good mentor to our students. So I think for me, it's the opportunities that nursing has given to the province, I think is admirable and is to be celebrated for Nurses Week.
Excellent. Well, happy Nurses Week to you, April Pike, and thank you so much for being with us here today.
Thank you.
Food insecurity, children in care, the health of Labrador Inuit.
For the first time, a sitting Prime Minister is visiting Nunatsiavut. More about Justin Trudeau's trip to Nain to meet with Inuit leaders. That's just ahead. Today, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau did something no sitting Prime Minister has ever done before. He made a trip to the north coast of Labrador. He's there to meet with Inuit leaders from across the north. Johannes Lamp is the Nunatsiavut president, and he's in Nain. So how important is it that the Prime Minister came to your community?
Well, very important. Most certainly, we're the Inuit across Inuit Nunangat have been meeting with the Inuit Crown Partnership Committee, including the Prime Minister of Canada, once a year, and most certainly we're Nunavut government and Labrador Inuit are involved in looking at how we can work together as partners with the federal government and Inuit across Inuit Nunavut, and most certainly very important for Labrador Inuit too, like other Canadians, to meet the Prime Minister and for the Prime Minister of Canada himself to come and see our situation here in Nunavut and today Nain and to look at the infrastructure that we have, gaps that we have, and more certainly, the other issues that that Labrador Inuit face day to day.
And speaking of some of those challenges, what types of issues did you raise with the Prime Minister and the 5 federal cabinet ministers who made the trip to Nain?
Yes, more certainly, housing is certainly a priority, and food insecurity, and more certainly, our children and our grandchildren, children in care, and health, the health of Labrador Inuit, and the services that are provided to Labrador Inuit, and how those services can best be looked after, and how the federal government as partner can help Inuit across Inuit Nunavut, and including Nunavut government and the Labrador Inuit, and more certainly climate change. Climate change is also a big issue in the discussions that we have. But and one big issue that we have in Nunavut, more so in Nain, we have the smallest airstrip in Nunavut, and there are no landing lights, and so the building of Nain Airport is very important, and so we certainly hope that, and we have started a feasibility study on the Nain Airport, and we still have to discuss funding for such an airport, and those are examples of how we can move forward with discussions with the federal government, and including the Prime Minister of Canada.
And finally, you had a community feast. What are some of the good things that you think the Prime Minister took away?
We held a feast at the Nain School Gymnasium, and there was standing room only, and everyone wanted to meet the Prime Minister, and a lot of the school children certainly wanted to get his autograph, and that was very encouraging, where the future of Nunavut having an interest in the leadership of Canada, and more certainly, hopefully, that these young people, our children and our grandchildren, will get an interest in leadership of their communities and their region.
Okay, well, Johannes Lamp, thank you so much for sharing the details of the Prime Minister's visit to Nain.
Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity.
Great news for women's basketball fans in Canada. The WNBA is making a Canadian stop for the first time.
The latest chapter in the history of women's sports, the debut of the WNBA.
The first ever WNBA All-Star game.
Canada's first ever WNBA game hits the hardwood at Toronto Scotiabank Arena. The Minnesota Lynx and the Chicago Sky will tip off tomorrow. It might be 2 American-based teams competing, but there isn't any shortage of Canadian representation. Natalie Ashanwa and Bridget Carlton will both be suiting up with Minnesota. Staying with sports, the Leafs and Oilers are back in action tonight in the NHL playoffs, but only one of them is facing a must-win scenario in tonight's Game 5.
Dial it in the other night to show all sorts of fight that we weren't going to allow our season to end.
that was a really good sign in terms of where the growth has been. I just think that you see the accountability amongst the group and the players taking ownership, having conversations amongst themselves, pushing each other, and then also just coming together.
That is Leafs coach Sheldon Keefe. The Toronto Maple Leafs will once again try to keep their playoff hopes alive tonight. It's Game 5 against the Florida Panthers, who lead the best-of-7 series 3-1. Wednesday's win for the Leafs was the first victory of the series. They have to win the next 3 games in a row in order to move on in the playoffs. And it's another nail-biting Game 5 tonight in Vegas for fans of the Edmonton Oilers. It's been a series of back-and-forth wins for the Oilers and the Golden Knights. Each team has 2 wins apiece. Both are down a good defenseman for Game 5, with Edmonton's Darnell Nurse suspended for 1 game for fighting. Stay with us now. Your birthday and anniversary greetings are just around the corner. They're after the break. Time now to bring some special greetings to some of our special viewers. Wishing Bride and Randy Bryant of Corner Brook a happy 61st anniversary on Sunday. Happy anniversary to Lewis and Evelyn Goodyear, who celebrated their 59th anniversary on Tuesday. Happy 50th anniversary to Roy and Bernice Sparing from Mary's Harbour, Labrador. Happy 53rd anniversary to Gerald and Ruby Coates of Eddies Cove East. Happy 59th anniversary to Garfield and Catherine Lushman of Grey River. Happy 50th wedding anniversary to Levi and Jenny Wilcott of Mount Pearl, celebrating today. Happy 59th anniversary today to Jack and Marjorie Price of North Harbour, that's in Placentia Bay. Bonnie and Wayne Hewitt of Gander are celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary. Happy 62nd wedding anniversary to Everett and Cavell Mercer of Bay Roberts. Happy 61st anniversary to Raymond and Winnie Edwards of Horwood, celebrating on the 10th. Happy 56th wedding anniversary to Harvey and Geneva Wiseman of Clarenville, celebrating 65 years married on Monday. Bill and Irma Perry, formerly of Millertown, now living in Ottawa. Happy 60th wedding anniversary to Stuart and Phyllis Legg of Whiteway from all your family. Happy 69th anniversary to Dawn and Lydia Waterman of Gambo. Happy 50th wedding anniversary to Phil and Maisie Manzer of Paradise, celebrating today. Happy anniversary, 64 years, on May 14th to George and Joan Chafe of Petty Harbour. Happy 50th wedding anniversary to Nathan and Marilyn Howell of Badgers Key. They celebrated yesterday. Happy 61st to Frank and Ada Dean of North Harbour, Placentia, celebrated yesterday. Happy 56th wedding anniversary on May 11th, that was yesterday, to Eva and Alf Jones from Clarenville. Happy 52nd wedding anniversary to Bob and Judy Mercer of Pasadena. Happy 50th to Dennis and Jeanette Reeder of Bloomfield. Wishing Juanita and George Kinsella of St. Anthony a happy 50th anniversary, celebrating today. Happy 60th anniversary to Scott and Jesse Thomas from Middle Arm. Happy 93rd birthday to Don Hiscock of Corner Brook. He's celebrating on May 15th. Blanche Biles from St. Anthony is turning 99 years old today. Happy birthday to you. Happy 91st birthday to Margaret King, originally from Long Harbour, now living at Pleasant View Towers. Happy 91st birthday to Vincent Myers of Chapel Cove. He celebrated on Tuesday. And wishing Chesley Gill of Mount Pearl a happy 90th birthday from your family and friends. Sinneth Daw of Cupid's 92, that was yesterday, and she's got family from all over the place sending her lots of birthday wishes. Happy birthday to Miriam Lambert of Southport, Trinity Bay, turning 91, that was on Monday. Happy 95th birthday on the 14th to Woodrow Snow of Kings Point, now living at Springdale Retirement Centre. And happy birthday and anniversary to all of those viewers there. Ashley, back with our last look at the weather now, going into early next week.
We are. Yeah, we're going to talk about Mother's Day. Of
course.
You know, it's looking a bit unsettled for some areas, unfortunately, after, you know, a couple nice days out there for sure. Let's take a look at the future tracker just to time everything out for you. Now, the cold front's going to move through the overnight on Saturday into Sunday. Now, most of Saturday, we should see gray skies for the most part, and the chance of showers moving back in again in the evening. But through the afternoon hours, we may see a few peaks of sun, and then for the Avalon, we may see a better chance of seeing those peaks of sun, say past 4 or 5 o'clock on Sunday. So pretty much the story up across Labrador will be unsettled, cooler temperatures, chances some flurries in the mix, wet snow possible certainly towards the coast through central areas, and then eventually some clearing for Lab West as we head into the evening hours on Sunday. Now temperatures should stay quite mild again, so 12-13 degrees along the south coast, west coast, a little cooler than that, so only reaching the single digits between 7 to about 9 degrees, and then cooler even still up across Labrador as we talk about that potential for some flurries through the day. So 3, 4, 5 degrees for the most part. Best chance of seeing the sun will be in the west. Lab City, you should hover around 7 degrees through the day on Sunday. Now, as we look ahead to Sunday evening and into the overnight and Monday morning, this area of low pressure moves off fairly quickly. In fact, in behind that, we should see some sun for the eastern half of the island. Now towards the west, clouds will be on the increase. We're also looking at that chance of showers moving in late day. and then staying unsettled across Labrador right into the afternoon and evening hours. Your temperatures are going to stay quite chilly again into the single digits, 3 to about 7 degrees for your afternoon highs. Northern Peninsula as well, around 8 degrees. You might see the sun though through the day on Monday. But other than that, the temperature should sit somewhere between 10 to about 13 degrees across the island. Now again, eastern half, best chance of seeing the sun, and along the south coast of the island, these showers will move in later on into the evening hours. Now the long range forecast still showing double digits right through Tuesday, it looks like, for St. John's and eastern Newfoundland. Overnight lows pretty nice as well. Somewhere between 2 and about 6 degrees overnight, but it does look like some showers will return as we head into Wednesday. Still looking at daytime highs though between 13 and 14 degrees. Now for central Newfoundland, those showers moving in a bit earlier. By Tuesday, that's what it's looking like, 10 to 13 degrees as your daytime highs. And then for western Newfoundland, cooling a little bit by the time we get into Wednesday, so only single digits. Single digits the story for eastern Labrador as well. It is an unsettled week. Tuesday looks nice at this point, and then for western Labrador, flurries pretty much the story until we get into midweek next week with your daytime highs between 3 maxing at about 7 and your overnight lows dipping into the single digits as minus single digits as well. This shot of a 22-degree halo in Harbour Grayscale captured this shot. Typically that means you'll see rain in about 24 hours. That's just high cirrus clouds with the sun bouncing off of it. That's why we see that halo there. But thank you for that lovely shot. It's always nice to see that treat in the sky. If you have any weather photos, send them to Facebook, Twitter, or email them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
That is an interesting one. I don't think I've seen a picture like that before.
Yes, nice there.
Nice shot, Gail. Anyway, that is our show. If you were celebrating with your mom or you are a mom, happy Mother's Day. Good night.
Good night.